Are we all here? Bit of warp disturbance there, not for the first time. My thing up here says that you're here. If everyone's here, please put your raise your hand. Thank you, and welcome to one of my ongoing live streams where I try and keep you up to date with where I am and what I am doing. He lives, I can see you there. Good, thank you. And yes, so hello. How are we doing? It was hot last week, wasn't it? Getting a bit cooler today. Hands in the air, good. SOT team represent as well. Hopefully we've got Stay on Target Tribe are in attendance too. And also thank you to everyone who's come along to listen to me ramble for what I hope to be an hour. That's the intention of these live streams, is to you have to imagine it from my point of view. Like, I'm 49 and I'm sitting in my spare room. Just finished painting over there. Some painting, Necrons. And now I'm talking to a screen. Killer Kriegsman, thank you for your donation. Love you. And that happens. This isn't... When I was in school 40 years ago, and they asked you at the age of 9, what would you like to do when you grow up? 40 years ago, oh yeah, I'd like to be on YouTube. It didn't exist, so it's all a bit weird. So hi. We'll get through this together. It's kind of like a therapy session, isn't it? So there were a couple of things. So thank you for everyone who's coming along, and thank you particularly Killer Kriegsman, and thank you everyone for sharing in my hobby journey with me. It's weird, isn't it? But hopefully I can keep you entertained for an hour, because that's the plan, to crack on for about an hour. First up, I have to apologize for not being here yesterday. So I've had a pretty crazy week, really, as far as hobby. 1 minute before we begin, I need a timer. We're at 100 and where are we? We're at 100 viewers right now, and no one said grab a timer. See, we have to build on this relationship, people. Okay, stopwatch, start. So I've got some idea just of how, thank you, grab a timer, M. Wilson, thank you. Because I've got somehow idea, because the last one was 2.5 hours long. So we all right? Get through the heat wave okay? It was a bit hot there at the weekend, wasn't it? But it's cooling down now. Stay on track, no, it's stay on target, and it's a hands up. All you have to do is put hands up. And if I start seeing a blizzard of hands up in the air on the chat, then I know that I've stranded too far off the target. Because the target for today, we have a target, is my massive 40k prediction. Oh yeah. Now, because there's people watching, so that who are new to this, like most of you aren't, but there are people who are watching who are new to this. So I have to say right at the very start, this is my massive 40k prediction for lore. Okay, so anyone who's watching this in particular for model releases, you can go. And anyone who's just clicked on YouTube, like, what the hell is going on here? You can go too. And indeed, someone out there, I need someone, a volunteer. Hands in the air for a volunteer, please. Mick the Machine, thank you for your donation. Good evening to you too, sir. Love the Punisher logo there. Frank Castleman, epic. So yeah, I need a hand in the air for someone to volunteer to pin when I actually start the target, which is my massive 40k prediction, which is lore focused, and it's massive. We're talking big. This comes off the back of the question that someone, so it's been burning on my mind all this time, that someone sent a couple of weeks ago, which is, which Primarch do you think will come back next? We know it's the Lion. It's going to be the Lion. We know where he is. Actually, that's a lie. I'm Alfarius, and this is a lie. That's a lie. The next Primarch to come back will be Angron, and then the Lion. So hands up. Fletcher Bamford Doe, thank you. First hand in the air. Thank you. You volunteered to pin in the comment section the actual topic, my massive 40k prediction, which is lore-based, not model-based, actually starts at this time. And then I can pin that to the top of the comments thread. And then people who are watching from YouTube who want to jump ahead and look at then they can get there. Okay, the rest is just between us. So thank you, Fletcher Bamford Doe, and the donation so far, for being part of the team, and thank you for the Fletcher Bamford Doe. Do you accept this responsibility? The class are waiting. I do. Okay, well done. Good. He accepts the responsibility. It is a heavy burden you bear, just as the Stay on Target tribe. So Ferris Head in a Dreadnought would be hilarious. Ferris Head in a Dreadport? I don't know what you're talking about. Keep chatting amongst yourselves. That's one of the beauty of live streams. There's two conversations going on here. There's the conversation that I'm having with a blank wall. There's a conversation that you're all having amongst yourselves. And there's some, in amongst this tangled web that we weave, there's conversation between us. It's lovely, isn't it? So I've got a massive 40k prediction, but I want to apologise for not being on over the weekend. I had a mental weekend. Like this week, I finished painting 3 of my Adeptus Mechanicus Legio Cybernetica constructs for my 30k AdMech army. So now I'm up to 3,000 points worth of 30k AdMech army. And of course, the Sons of Horus is away at Den of Imagination, the greatest painting studio in the world. Away at Den of Imagination right now, and that should be about 2,500 points worth of that. And I'm still waiting for all the Horus Heresy. I still can't buy Mark III armor. I still can't buy Mark IV armor. Last week we discussed how I spent £140 just on breastplates, because the Emperor's Children have the Aquila on their breastplates. So I bought 50 breastplates from Forge World just to get that damned Aquila. But I can't even find the suits to put the Aquila on, and then I need to buy the suits on top. Because the OG list has 20 Emperor's Children in the back, and it's got 3 units of veterans. There is a Rite of War that you can bring for Emperor's Children, which brings your legionary veterans, which are normally an elite slot, and they have 2 wounds, and you can bring them as troops. They're 2 wound non-terminators, and you can bring them as line troops. Line troops is important in 30k. So I want that. I can't get any of that, but I've got the shoulder pads. I've got the things ready. Can't get the rhinos I need for it either. But they did launch the new Praetors, the Emperor's Children's Praetors, and they look gorgeous, and I hope they're in plastic. So what am I talking about? Yeah. Where am I? Hello, Greg Shingen. Thank you for becoming a tier 2 member. Thank you. Welcome to my Discord. Mental week. So somehow I got sidetracked there about the Horus Heresy. Don't know why. Use your GW contacts to get you a bunch of minis, Milhusniks. It doesn't work like that. They just send me stuff. Sometimes they send me stuff that is really good, and sometimes they send me stuff, and sometimes, mainly, they don't send me anything at all. I'm not really allowed to talk about it though, but it's strictly one way. It's someone put it once actually, because I'm always grateful to receive stuff, and I feel obligated to do something with it. But someone in the comments once said, no, they're not sending. You're not getting free stuff from them. They're getting free advertising from you. So Greg Shimon, thank you for becoming 2nd member of the day, legend. Thank you. And yeah, they're getting free advertising from me, and free advertising from every content creator that makes content about what they get. It doesn't cost them anything to send it. So that's why I started doing the shorts, because I get a lot of stuff like, well, how am I going to do an unboxing? I've got a Leviathan Dreadnought. What do I do with that? Don't have the time and the schedule in the thing, because I'm but one man. I can't send it off to Den of Imagination in Poland. They put it together, paint it, send it back to me. They're there prior to release. Don't think they're on the NDA either. And I can't paint it myself and put it there. And how am I going to make a video with that? I can make a short. And yeah. And they're fun to make, so I'm going to keep making them for a while. Greg Shimming, Lost in the Warp. I think I'm a bit after it. Monkey's in here. Good, thanks. They send you love. Yes. So we're all talking about... That's good. The chat's flowing. Let the spice flow. Glad you're having a good time. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. No idea how I got here. So yeah, I was late. I should have been on Monday. The alias you set this command to be of channel does not exist. Nightbot. Cat tried to fix that, you see. The Nightbot thing. So I'll tell her that she's got homework. And Silas Neef has been a member for 7 months. Love the new logo. Thank you. New logo down. 1 minute. This is weird. Down there. And there's actually one of the things that I did last week is... I say I did it. One of the things she did last week is... there's a couple of stores that YouTube are affiliated with. There's only a few of them, I think. I don't know. And she got YouTube to talk to one of the affiliate stores. So there's now our first run of branded merchandise with the new logo is now available. And the price is stupid. You can't set the price in this store. The price is the price. Captain Smashy Pants, thank you for becoming tier 2. Look forward to seeing you again at some point in the future, maybe at the Hobby Apocalypse. Yeah, I can't do anything with the price. I was reminded of that Terminator quote, which is, it doesn't feel remorse. It doesn't feel pity. It just, that's the price. So there's new merch out there if you want to get something with that on. And we're going to design, she's going to design more merch for the, and then should be sat here at some point with a merchy thing on, holding my moobs up. And then in the far future, we can think up other things. So that's one of the things that happened last week. Sam Nash, thank you for your donation. Really appreciate it. Love you. That's a big whopper. How are Titans in the new Mechanicum book? See, that's a really interesting question because you'd think I'd be all over the new Titans in the Mechanicum book, but I barely looked at them. I've been so excited by the rest of the Mechanicum book. I've had my army out on the table a couple of times, reread the rules a couple of times. On top of playing games and editing and the rest of the busy thing that I tell you about what happened in my last week, which is why I wasn't on yesterday. So I've been doing all that, and it didn't even occur to me. So how are the Titans in the new Mechanicum book? Sam, thanks for your donation. The pictures look pretty. Thank you for reminding me that at some point I need to sit down with the book and actually look and read through some of those Titan rules. I do know, because I looked at the points, that the OG points value, like the Warhound is 750, the Reaver is 1,500, and the Nemesis is 2,000, and the Warlord is 3,000. I see the OG points values there, and that warms a warm cockle. David Mendez, thank you for your donation all the way from over the pond. I really appreciate you. Speaking of free advertising, you're the reason I ever tried tabletop. Now I'm sitting on 9,000 points of Custodes. I still hate painting. Thank you for your donation. I'm sorry to have brought you so much pain, to both you and your bank balance. That's the thing about this hobby, right? It gets in. It gets under the skin, which is why I need to let out my massive 40k hobby prediction, because a couple of podcasts ago, what are these things? Hello there, Space Props. What are we doing? Fletcher, Bramford Doe, General Kenobi. Hello, back on topic, 10 minutes gone already. Oh, there's only a couple of hands in the air, so I can see the SOT team are nailing it. But what am I talking about? Massive 40k hobby thing that I need to share with you, based on a topic from a couple of weeks ago when someone said, what Primarch's coming back? No, gotta think big. Lots of hands in the air. Right, okay. So it was busy, and then on Saturday I went to say hi, Pauls. And I left the house at 9 and I got back like 10:30, because say hi, Pauls is, I've got it, stay on target team. I'm there, thank you. I went to say hi, Pauls on the Saturday. That was 9 to 10:30 in the evening. It's a 3-hour drive there, 3-hour drive back. It's a long way away. Met the lovely Rachel for the first time. And for all of you who love narrative wargaming, do recommend you subscribe to Say Hi, Pauls YouTube channel. Who also, if you watch this later, because I do know you watch this after the fact, Paul, when you do watch it later, thank you for joining my Discord as well. You're a legend. So he's in the Discord too. Rachel, Sarah. It was Sarah, I think. Is it Sarah? I think it's Sarah. I'm terrible with names. I make up names all the time. Mick the Machine, you mean Sarah? Yes, exactly. I told her, and I told Paul I'd forget the name. Sandy McDonald, thank you for your donation. Chances of a flat cap with Winter's logo on it. Well, you see, this is a question. If I get a flat cap with a Winter's logo on it, it won't be this flat cap. It'll have to be another flat cap. And I really like this flat cap. You get ones where they're sort of blended over, blurred over. The peak of this flat cap goes all the way back to the back of the head. But without going that flat thing, it's a nice flat cap. So I have to get a flat cap. I've tried, I've looked, I've high and low for the replacement flat cap. This one's been she put it in the laundry a few times. I squealed the first time. It was painful, bumping around in the laundry with a cap on my head. But, so it has to be the cap. It can't be a flat cap with the Winters logo on it. It has to be the cap. So went to play Say Hi Paul. That was lovely. He's, we filmed a thing, and with the codex that might be coming out shortly, because he's on the NDA too, maybe. And that was lovely. And then on the Sunday, I had 4 absolute idiots in my house. I hope most of you remember last year the Hobbypocalypse, the 4-way Hobbypocalypse video that I did with Stylus, Monkey, Brap, and Sultan, of course. Of course, Sultan. All in the room, all playing at the same time. All absolute madness. The Hobbypocalypse is a series that has ran in the deployment zone, where we filmed and painted. Well, they painted 250 points a month every month. If you paint 250 points a month every month for 6 months, if that becomes your goal, then you'll have 1,500 point army. And at the end of the Hobbypocalypse journey, just under 250,000 points worth of armies were painted in 6 months. So you think I got people into 40k? That series got them spending the dollar, yo. And they were smacking it down. Games Workshop should be sponsoring them. Anyway, last year did a 4-way smash with all their armies. This year doing a 4-way smash with all their armies. Did it, filmed it Sunday, and it was one of the hottest days of the year, and we were dying. So that's after 13, 14 hours at Say Hi Paul's. And also, if you want to come along to the Hobbypocalypse weekend, tickets are still available. In order to get tickets to the Hobbypocalypse weekend, you have to become a Deployment Zone member, or you can support Deployment Zone on Patreon. Either way, becoming a member gets you into the Discord, or becoming a Deployment Zone on Patreon gets you into the Discord, but without the videos. Either way, you need to get into the Discord to become a Discord member, Deployment Zone member, because the Hobbypocalypse ran in the Deployment Zone. And there's tickets still available. There's still like 10 or 20 tickets available. And the Hobbypocalypse day, the open day weekend is 27th, 28th, and the 28th is just the Hobbypocalypse day, and I'll be there. So I'll be there with the Hobbypocalypse boys, and I'll bring my Hobbypocalypse army, my 1,500 points worth of Necrons. I started that in January. Are we getting invaded by the Slaneshi demons, and you're on it? I love it. It looks like there's some people on it. That's good stuff. Or Fletcher Bamford Bow message deleted by Nightbot. So the Nightbot is doing something to Fletcher. I don't know what's going on right now. Nightbot, I'm trying to help stop spamming words, phrases, warning. Someone's trying to probably shout at me. Right, anyway, so there's that. Something went on there. No idea what went on. So Saturday was Say Hi Paul. Sunday was 5 sweaty men in a room for a very long period of time. And then Sunday, Dark Angels Chris came over. And was it Dark Angels Chris? Yeah, Monday, Dark Angels Chris came over. So that was Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And Monday, Dark Angels Chris came over. And we filmed Space Hulk 40k. We did Deathwing versus Tyranids 40k. I've done it a couple of times with Dark Angels Chris. And I wanted to do it with the new codex. And it's awesome. And also, there's Kev the Cook is coming on Friday. And he's got Deathwing. So I'm going to do Deathwing versus Tyranids 40k. And so there's going to be 2 fights coming up. One's already filmed, one's yet to be filmed. Of the Deathwing taking on the Tyranids in a Space Hulk using 40k rules. Okay, so that's happening. And that was my Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And Scari's coming tomorrow. And yes, filming Space Hulk Part 2 on the Friday, seeing Rapid on the Saturday, and that's a 2,500 point game, so that's going to be a big one. And then I'm going to Mikey P's on the Sunday, so me and Mikey P can sit down because we've got an idea for an upcoming campaign that we want to run. And the campaign, like the Bell Tolls campaign, currently running for channel members and currently running in the deployment zone. That next one is coming up on Sunday, and then Thursday next week. I just haven't had the time to edit it. So on top of all of this, After the Saturday, Sunday, Monday filming schedule, I passed out on the sofa. She gave me some food. When I woke up, I woke up to the smell of food. And then I ate the food, and then I thought, I can't. Yeah, I was just a bit shredded, that's all. And it was hot, remember? It was very hot. So that's why I'm late on Tuesday. How is everyone out there? Alistair Everett is very much looking forward to seeing the Horus Heresy Mechanicum on the table again. I certainly am as well. The new rules are absolutely gorgeous. 40k rules ask you about the relics and the stratagems and the warlord traits or the buffs. It's like, well, this unit's good. This is a good unit. Let's give an example of Chaos Possessed. But then the rule book asks you, how can you make that meaner? How can you make that dirtier? How can you put that sword on your captain and do this? What sort of combination works with that spell on that? That's what the 40k rules ask you. They ask you rule-bound questions. The 30k rules is written from a different perspective, which is why I love them. The 30k rules is written from the perspective of what do you want to bring. All throughout 30k, there are options for bringing certain units as troops. If you want to bring a bike spam list, you can. If a tank spam list, you can. A Terminator spam list, you can. Emperor's Children, I mentioned earlier, you want to bring their elites, which are, in 40k terms, that's like Stern Guard and veterans. If you want to bring them as troops, that score, you can. They've got all these... if you're doing cybernetic Horus Heresy, for example, you can bring a tech priest and cybernetic stuff. But if you want to unlock certain ways of playing with your army, you need a rite of war. The cybernetic don't call it a rite of war, they call it something else, and my mind goes blank. It's one of the ordos. Which school of thought do they follow? And if you bring a Legio Cybernetic, then you can bring certain things as troops. If you bring the Myrmidon cults, you can bring Myrmidons as troops. And then it says, what do you want to put on those units? Well, how do you want to add things to those units? It's very, very model centric. I like it, the way the rules are. And one of the reasons why they're that simple is because you haven't got 40 stratagems, you haven't got dozens of warlord traits, you haven't got, in fact, you've got a couple in the main rule book and literally a couple in the AdMech book. You've got a couple of warlord traits. There are no relics, there are no stratagems. There's advanced reactions, that's it. By taking away all the rules and allowing you to play with models in certain ways, they up the juice, the feel, the narrative of it. It's nice. You can do it in 40k. The new books have got some real narrative feel to them. You can do it in 40k, but they keep asking you about the rules. And then there's, of course, 40k is rules to counter other rules that have countered rules in the past. Armor Contempt. They're going to burn it all down in 10th, or some kind of reset in 10th. Maybe not a whole burn down, but definitely some kind of reset in 10th. Some kind of reactions like in AOS and 30k added to the 40k rule set would make it flow better. And a vast reduction in the number of stratagems, relics and warlord traits. Cut all that down. I like what they're doing in some of the newer codexes now when they're feeding some of the base. Instead of making a rule to say possessed move a long way, possessed just move 9. Instead of making a rule for the fast bugs like Trigons, they just move 12. Instead of making a rule saying double the number of attacks, they just give it a lot of attacks. I'm all up for as many rules that you can bind into a standard stat line to make something. There's hands all over the place. I've wandered way off target. So anyway, hi. Yeah, as many rules. Imagine data sheets where could be simplified by not making rules for the laws for the units that you're using, but just putting it in the base stat line. If something's tougher, make it tougher. Don't put a rule for it, like Disgustingly Resilient. Anyway, so hi. That's my busy weekend, so that's why I wasn't here yesterday. I was a bit shredded, just a bit, to sit down and talk to a camera in a room, which is really hot. And it was hotter yesterday. To do this, that was a bit weird. So yeah, the boys were up for the Hobbypocalypse, which is why that's up there. Look, 4 subs. They made me a plaque. They presented that to me. And we've got the next event, which is the Wild West Showdown on the 8th of October. There'll be over 100 people there if we fill the place. I'm sure we'll fill the place. Last year we got over 100. So it's the 8th of October, and if you want to come along to the Wild West in Cardiff on the 8th of October, then you need to become a Deployment Zone member or a channel member at Tier 2 or Tier 3 with me. That'll get you access to the Discord, and that'll get you all the links with the tickets. And on October the 8th, Monkey's Wild West thing, one of the prizes is you can have a game with me. Obviously, I can't play every one of the 100 in the room, but there's going to be a raffle, and we will make sure I get to play with someone I've never played with before. So if anyone's thinking, oh, I can have a round 2 against him. No. So that's going to be and it'd be good that it's just 2 games, 2 1,500 point games. It's lunches included, and I think it's like 15 quid, and it's in Cardiff. And Firestorm in Cardiff, by the way, in case anyone who goes there in Cardiff, or in case anyone out there is living in Cardiff right now and is new to the hobby and you're thinking, where can I get some games in? Google Firestorm Games Cardiff, go there. It's an awesome place. You'll have a great time. They'll look after you. They're good people. I hear they're good people. I haven't met them myself, but the hall itself is, again, I hear absolutely fantastic. Because I hear they're such good people, and because I hear that the hall is such a fantastic place, I'm definitely going to the Wild West Showdown this year. I couldn't go last year, and yeah, if you become a channel member or a Deployment Zone member, you get access to Discord. You can meet me, as well as a bunch of other people who are Deployment Zone unpaid interns who appear in all the battle reports, as well as the guests. Maybe you turn up at the Wild West Showdown with your 1,500 point army and you've only played 5 or 10 times, but it's beautiful, and I'm there, and I will want to see a beautiful army. So if you turn up at the Wild West Showdown with a beautifully painted 1,500 army, or a beautiful narrative indeed, just has to be a beautiful narrative, I want to know that shit. Come and get me, tap me on the shoulder and say, Winters, do you remember on stream when you said you really would be interested in seeing a really beautifully painted army or a really beautiful narrative? I'll go, yes, definitely, yes, show me. And then you can show me and I'll be like, wow. And then maybe you appear on the channel, maybe. Am I wandering off target? So yeah, so that's what's happening. This is working. The stopwatch is telling me I'm at 25 minutes. You guys are wagging your hands in the air all over the place. Oh, and also I have to mention everyone who's already bought a ticket to the Wild West Open in the Discords. Thank you for helping. Well, thank you for helping Monkey's dream come true, because the King in the North is something that Monkey's run 2 years in a row, in January 2 years in a row, because so you can be rest assured that the King in the North 3 will be coming in January. And Monkey down south in Cardiff, it kind of counts, and Brap up there have been having this, you know, Brap pulled ahead, then Monkey. It's a, yeah. So Brap wants the North to have the biggest event, and I was at the last King in the North in January, and that was fantastic too. So I'm looking forward to that one. Oh, how did I get onto this subject? Because there's the Hobbypocalypse weekend with these idiots, and Monkey climbed into an inflatable horse suit and ran around my back garden while we filmed the advert that we're going to drop into the Deployment Zone and for channel members. It's only going to be like a minute long of Monkey running around my back garden inside a horse, being as annoying as he possibly can. You see, I thought I was pretty good at the YouTube shorts. I thought the stuff that's coming out on the YouTube shorts, there's a little touch of, I don't want to say genius. I don't want to say there's a little touch of genius in there. But there's a little touch of effort, at least. You can see the effort in the sort of shorts. I'm trying to at least make some... I know at someone out there on the scale, at some point on the scale, there's some people laughing. And that's enough for me. But then I come up against Monkey and his mite in a inflatable horse running around my garden, going neigh and yeehaw and yeehaw. And then I pale into insignificance next to his burning light of awesome. I am but a mere red dwarf next to his phase 4. What about the southeast? Well, Asbo, no one's set up amongst the regulars, amongst the unpaid interns. No one set up something in the southeast yet. Chris B has said that he might set up something down there in Brighton, but he's a very busy man. Maybe at some point we'll have a southeast showdown as well, but it's the southwest showdown and King in the north, and I'm really looking forward to going to both of them and meeting as many as you find people there as possible. So that was my mental weekend, and then I've got my mental week coming up. I hope you're all looking forward to the Space Hulk 40k campaigns, the Gene Stealers versus Tyranids versus the Deathwing. Those kind of videos, by the way, I should say this because I'm on YouTube now, because people on YouTube don't know what's been in the deployment zone all this time. But those kind of more narrative driven, not match play games, you get a lot more of them in the deployment zone, and these games will be shared for channel members and in the deployment zone going forward. So if you want to support me, you can become a channel member, and if you're UK based, then you should definitely join the deployment zone because of all the events that happen, and you're missing out on these type of videos. I didn't really do well in shouting about what, I mean, you get all the match play and all the narrative stuff as well, but I didn't really do well at shouting out the type of videos that you got there. So hands in the air. Yes, good. Massive 40k prediction. I think I've explained where I've been next week. I think I've explained what's happening in this week. Mikey P, thanks for being in the chat. Looking forward to coming down and seeing you and working out the bones of the next campaign, because the Bell Tolls is done. And it's going out on going out for members in DZ right now, and then I've got one in the pipe with Gene Stealer Cults versus the 13th. I've got one in the pipe for Necromunda Season 3, and I haven't really sat down to talk through this idea that we have between me and Mikey P. So yeah, and I like sitting down and thinking it out and working it out, and then I like playing the things, and sometimes the campaigns really work and sometimes they don't really work, and sometimes people really like them and sometimes people are really disappointed in them. Like the Silver Cage has got a nice twist at the end, which was always meant to be there, but some people didn't really like that. But the point of doing a narrative campaign is these are the ones that you can put twists in. The point of fighting really unbalanced armies, 500 points holding out against 2,500 points at a breach. You don't do that in match play, you do that in narrative play. They're going to lose, but how quick did they lose in a turn? Is that all the defense they put up? So those are the kind of games that you want to play in narrative. And there's always a chunk of the audience that says, well, it was unfair or unbalanced or stuff like that. But everyone's got a favourite one. Favourite one? That's a word now. Everyone's got their personal favourite, the one that they really like. And I really enjoy making them. It's like creating something, bringing it to life. Fletcher Bamford Doan, pin this comment, start big, more prediction. Yes, okay. Thank you for your super chat. There's hands all over the place. My massive 40k prediction. So you can pin at this point. We're all good. We're all good. We're good. So I've previously spoken about my prediction for the 40k universe, lore-wise. And I said all the Primarchs are coming back. And yeah, I know I can only pin a comment, but what will happen, Monkey, so I'm off target a little bit, is after the video is done, Fletcher Bamford Doe volunteered to then go into the video and pin the timestamp of when I actually start talking. Well, no, write a comment, sorry, of, maybe I wasn't clear enough. Write the comment of when I actually start on target. Right, this is the time it starts. And then I can pin that in. Do you get, yeah? You know what I mean? Like Mikey P, a timestamp. I don't know what that is. It's like someone writes a comment and then I can pin that top comment so anyone who looks, okay, can then know it starts at that time. What's a timestamp? Can you get it from the post office? Does Doctor Who sell them? Interesting. But yeah, it needs to be in the video after the live thing. Okay? Good. Right. Where was I? All the Primarchs coming back. That doesn't fully express how massive my prediction for 40k is. In the old days, Brett Peterson, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you for being a tier for there. Thank you. Games Workshop started off as a model making company, and the models drove the lore. That's how they started. The models drove the lore. That has changed. Now the models drive the lore as well. That always happens. They design the models first inside certain lore but now the IP, the lore itself, is feeding the model range. And we see that clearly with the Horus Heresy release. Lots of plastic goodness, and there's going to be more plastic goodness coming. The IP itself, the lore itself, is strong enough to launch an entire new plastic range and gaming system. And the investment in art and creativity, and they bought 4 new in the last 12 months plastic molding injection thingy bobs machines that make the models, and they need more, by the way. The narrative is changing the model range, designing the model range. It's feeding on itself, and it didn't do that before. It was models feeding the lore. You've got Black Library books, you've got Space Marine and Space Marine 2, you've got the Eisenhorn TV series coming up, you've got lots of lore out there. And they've realised that for the first time with the Horus Heresy range. So my 40k prediction for the future is there will be a time in the future, and you might be taking your son or daughter along to a Games Workshop store and see this happen when you go into the Games Workshop store. But there will be a time in the future, maybe with your son or daughter, maybe it'll be later than that, maybe it'll be much later than that, 100 years. Or maybe it's 10, 15 years away, where many Primarchs are back, and many evil Primarchs are back, and Imperium Nihilus on the north of the Cicatrix Maledictum is a wash of chaotic empires, the Black Legion, the Emperor's Children. It'll be north versus south. It'll be, this is the wall in Westeros, and it's got the wild north and the orderly south. Or there are going to be 2 empires born. There'll be the evil empire and the good empire, and they'll delve into chaos in ways that we haven't seen before, in ways only expressed in the lore. And that will, with new Night Lord models coming out, whole new demon ranges coming out, whole new demon engines coming out. When these things are released, and as that empire builds, and as Abaddon and other princes and demon princes try and take his crown from him, particularly as more evil Primarchs begin to show their faces, particularly if certain evil Primarchs, evil like Perturabo or Alfarius, aren't entirely swallowed by the warp. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the north. Then in the south, we're going to have the Lion and Jagatai and things like that. But not just this. In and amongst this milieu, there's going to be the Orcs exploding out of Octarius and their new creations, including the Tyranids. There's going to be Eldar Exodites. There's going to be Chaos Space Marine legions aplenty for each legion. There's going to be the Silent King with his hordes making a real difference. It is in the lore itself of the Horus Heresy. They say that the future war, 10,000 years in the future after the Horus Heresy, the Farseers who far enough to be able to see that far, and there's only 2 or 3 of these that pop up in the Horus Heresy lore that can see that far in the future, see the future war, the Horus Heresy as being a candle flame compared to what will come in 10 years' time. That is what 40k becomes. So when you ask, and they'll make mistakes along the way, and they'll take 2 steps forward for every 4 steps back, but they've learnt that the lore, that the IP can drive sales. and they'll lean into that. They'll learn that more with the Leagues of Votann. That will sell. And when Primarchs come out, they sell. And the super tanker that is Games Workshop begins to turn more and more and more. There is no reason not to go hard on the Necron lore. There is no reason not to go hard on the Tau and the fifth sphere of expansion and make them religious zealots, just like other parts of the Imperium and utter Puritans, while the main core of the Tau Empire continues to diversify with other races. There's no reason for them not to introduce a whole new threat or bring back an older threat, such as, or there's the Yellow King and the Pariah projects. There's that coming up. The return of Malcador, perhaps, the return of Constantine Valdor or Rogel Dawn or something like that, perhaps coming up out of there. The Orcs resurgent, as well as a new Xenos threat. The inevitable absolute psychic backlash this will cause. 40k, as we know it now, is on the cusp of change from what it was a generation ago, when it was loads of lovely models and some lore. That's when I started, there was zero lore. It was just loads of lovely models. But when a lot of you started, it was loads of lovely models and some lore. We're now at the point where it's a load of lovely models and lots of lore. And for the first time, the Lord's creating its own models, its own model range. Look at the expansion of the Necromunda models. The lore itself is so powerful that Warhammer the Old World, which they burnt down, is coming back. The future is you walk into a Games Workshop store with little Timmy and you're 50 years old, and you walk in there and there will be two healthy fantasy systems, maybe more, but definitely two healthy fantasy systems, and one will be Warhammer the Old World and one will be AOS. And on the other side of the store there'll be two healthy sci-fi systems, and one will be Horus Heresy and one will be the Indomitus Crusade or the New Crusade, something. It'll be 40k, Horus Heresy and the Malcador's Heresy, or whatever. It'll be up there. And you'll know about it because people have played the video games and watched the TV show. And in a future world, Space Marines, well, in this world, Space Marines sell 50% of all the 40k sales are Space Marines. 50% is everything else. So in a future where there's two heavily used sci-fi systems and one has all the Space Marines in it, that's what Horus Heresy is, remember? They thought, look, well, half of our sales are Space Marines. Let's make a system where it's Space Marines on Space Marines. Let's do that. And that's how much the lore has driven that whole new IP, that whole new model range. There's a possible future where the Horus Heresy is outselling 40k 2-1 because all the kids and all the newbies that we welcome in with open arm, that we make sure they have a great game the first game, that we don't judge them on their lists. You just let them play their lists the first couple of times when you play a noob. Don't say, oh, this would be better, this would be better, this would be better. Never say that to a noob. Just say, oh, that's exciting. Why did you bring a Landspeeder Storm? Oh, you like the swishy. Oh, that's really good. That's exciting. That's exciting. And you bring along your worst list and you let them have fun with their swishy things and their deep strike and stuff, and you let them enjoy yourself. We let these guys all into the hobby, and there is a possible future where Horus Heresy outsells 40k 3-1 because Space Marines are cool, and that's where everyone starts off. Not what it is considered to be today, which is the veteran place. 40k is easy to learn. 30k is the best. No, that will twist on its head. It will twist on its head because the sales will demand it to. If it doesn't, Horus Heresy will fail. Horus Heresy will be a flash in the pan. It will be successful. It might last for a year. It might last for 2 years. But it will certainly begin to fade at 2 years, particularly with the launch of 10th edition coming around. All eyes will be there, particularly if 10th edition is a bit more balanced. But Horus Heresy style will fade, so they'll realize to make the Horus Heresy, it could be the gateway drug, not kill team. So this is a good example of just how, thank you for the hands, this is a good example of how the IP and how the lore is driving the narrative now. So my massive 40k prediction is that 40k will become massive. There is absolutely no reason as a business why the Xenos codexes can't be as full as plastic as the Space Marine codex. There's 3, 4, and in some cases for some Xenos factions or some sub-factions, 5 times as many Space Marine models as there is for Xenos models. So my massive 40k prediction is the Xenos races will have vast different model ranges, like the Eldar have now with Dark Eldar, Harlequins, Exodites, Craftworlders, Ynnari. These will be fully fleshed out with their own narrative, pulling them along with their own gods. Maybe we'll see the return of Aisha. Maybe we'll see the return of the Laughing God. We've got Primarchs back. We've got the Silent King, which is the god of the Necrons. Why can't we have the god of the Harlequins back? There's all sorts of things that you can pull back in 40k that way. So it won't just be about Space Marines, and they'll turn the future war, and they'll get their Black Library writers writing more and more and more about the future, particularly once the Horus Heresy, the novels coming up in the Horus Heresy will be standalone series of stuff that happened here and stuff that happened there to what you should do, I'm not saying it would come this way, but is they should set up a Horus Heresy novel with a crusade system attack and write a crusade around it when it comes out, and then that will drive sales that way. They could make that a really lore-based expand. Anyway, you're going to have a good, big example of Gorkor Mork potentially coming back as someone. Gorkor Mork incarnate. Why not, Jerome? Why not a spell or something, and you've got a weird boy and I don't know, and you can have an avatar of, mind you, at the moment they believe Stompers and the bigger the Stomper are all avatars of Gork or possibly Mork. Stompers and Gargants and things like that, they genuinely believe that these are manifestations of them, which is probably why they work and move. But something even more potent would be lovely to see. And that could be born out of the Crucible, which is Octarius or any other system. But it's going to get big. My massive 40k prediction is they are realizing what they're sitting on. And in the future, Firstborn Marines will, of course, only be playable in the Horus Heresy. But like we say, this is some unknowable future. It will become the case when the ranges are so unique and separate. The Indomitus stuff is just so fleshed out, particularly once they really start rattling through it. Like the Black Templars have got some of their own unique units that are Primaris now. The White Scars and some of the others that we haven't seen, like the Iron Hand yet, I'm sure. Well, eventually over time, all the legions, there's no reason not to. People will buy them. It's money. There's no reason not to, for them all to have their own unique Primaris stuff as well. And so Firstborn Marines will go from 40k, and that they will be in 30k, but 40k will be massive. And from a narrative point of view, it will get horrendously bad for parts of the Imperium. There will be horrendously massive Primarch fights, because every single Primarch that comes back has got to have a moment, right? At least one solid earth shaking moment. And with Exodites and the Necrons becoming more and more ascendant. When you ask me which Primarch is coming back, when you ask me, or when I'm asked, what is my future 40k prediction, my brain always slips a bit, because I know in most cases people are asking me on a shorter time scale, what is my next 40k prediction? The line comes out. People are asking me on a short time, but my brain doesn't work that way. I go down, dig deep, look to the future as well, and see the patterns in the business model, which is driving the narrative, which is driving the story. And because it's overall doing a good job driving the narrative and driving the story, we're swept along with it. And because the visuals are good, it's pulling in people from the outside. Now it's got to retain, it's got to hold on to people while they're there. And it's not very good at doing that because of costs. It's so expensive. And because of They're so bad. Their release their release schedules. The only company I know where here's loads of really cool things, but you can't buy it yet. I've been waiting to buy my Space Marines for a month, and the rhinos and the bits that I want to have with them in plastic. It includes rapiers in plastic, but I can't buy it. In the Mechanicum book, in the Liber Mechanicum book, there is a HQ or elite type, which is a judicar, a judge, an inquisitor of the Mechanicum. And online people convert because there's no official model yet. I wonder if there's going to be an official plastic release model of that. I'm up for it. And Legio Cybernetic, Stompy robots. You have them. You have Vorax, you have Domitar, you have Castellax, but there's a fast attack slot, which is again a converted Forge World thing. They don't release the model, so that needs to come out in plastic as well. I want to buy these models. There's rules for them, but they don't let me. And I would buy them, and so would many people. I've asked the question before on the thing, would you buy a plastic Fellblade? And 75% of people or more said yes, because 75% of Space Marine players would buy a plastic Fellblade. If it was around the same pricing as a tank, you buy it. And the 50% of people out there who collect Space Marines, 75% of that lot drops 80, 90 quid on a plastic Fellblade, because you can swap it out for different... would be the first super heavy tank for the Space Marines that in plastic. They're realizing it. So my 40k predictions are based on a timeline. So when people ask me questions, I'm thinking that far. Having said all that, we're at 48 minutes, so we're going well. So let's ask the chat if you've got any questions or feedback on that one for me, about 40k predictions. What do you think? Questions, anyone? That really dry throat. It's talking a lot there. And it's still so hot. Layman Russ is still hunting the Chaos Space Marines in the Itari. Yeah, we think so. Is he? And yeah, my 40k prediction, by the way, is I'm not talking about next 10, it's a magnitude of difference. That's my 40k prediction. The 40k space now is a magnitude of difference. It's a magnitude different from what it was 30 years ago. And I've been in the hobby for, since 86, since it started. So there's an order of magnitude. It's a type of future I can't actually accurately predict, but it will get there because it is growing. It's in the psyche now. 8th Ed Codex with Luther Leggett. Will more guard models be released in the short term? Yes, there's going to be some new guard models released, definitely. And in the longer term, a whole new range. It's only a matter of time till Death Corps of Krieg become their poster boys, because they sell a lot. I'm just curious how many books will come after Echoes of Eternity. A lot. In the longer term, you're going to have book series set in, How about seeing some Chaos Gods in Warlord Titan sizes? Chaos Gods, no, the Chaos Gods manifest. It doesn't work like that. You might have Scarbrand, you might have Agrath the Unbound. These are portions of... Chaos is almost like a hive mind of corn, of all of them. And it gives up pieces of itself to manifest in bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You won't get the whole god. It doesn't work like that. Luton did a really good series on Chaos Gods. Go and check it out. MKCS807, thank you so much for your donation. Eldred Uthran gives up his living body for one made of wraith bone so he continued to serve, perhaps as an answer to Primarch models. That's a really good example. I thought when they hit the Ynnari thing that we would get Wraithbone Ynnari models, because their Wraithbone, they're not the Spirit Stones driving the Wraithbone. There's literally a soul in the Wraithbone for Ynnari, and they feel different. They move different. That's literally Grandad in there, alive again, feeling the world through the Wraithbone, not just inhabiting it through an Infinity Stone. So in the future, there's definitely not just going to be Eldrad Uthran, where he may or may not be, but there will be a Ynnari range, which really leans hard. Well, that a part of it. That'll be the evolution. There will be the Wraithbone side, the Ynnari It's coming. It's coming. Just over time, it's coming. Do you think the Emperor will return? I don't think he went. And thank you for donation. If the Scots do well, I'm hoping we see more brand new factions. Yeah, I think the Scots are going to do well because there's a lot of interest in them. Lots of people have got a lot of interest in them. So you get a feel of these things, like had a good feel. And Sorcerer Dave, you're around a lot too. You got a feel way before the Sisters release, like, oh my God, this is going to go really well. Got a good feel. There's a lot of people I'm talking to are like interested in Squats. And let's face it, it's their big new Xenos release. But it's Squats. It's not Imperium. It is human, but it's not Imperium. So it's a non-Imperial release. So it's their first big non-Imperial release since... I don't know, well, there's Thousand Suns, there's Harlequins, there's Death Guard. You know what I mean. There's Custodes. Oh, no, they're in... Yeah, they've done a lot... Anyway, it's their test bed, and it'll do really well, and that means some crazy ideas that they've got, they'll do, and they'll do crazy well. Because back in the day, we had an army, didn't we, Sorcerer Dave? We had an army. But we have 5 now, or 10, or 2. We have armies now. Can't wait for Ynnari. Yeah, it's whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20. I mean, it should come sooner, right? If they expand on their universe as quickly as they can, given their manufacturing constraints that they have, they can double the size of their universe in 10 years, in 20 years. But I can see GW bringing Sanguinius back because that would be a lot of money to miss out on. Lionheart, yeah. I can see them bringing Sanguinius back. I can see them bringing Horus back. Or Avatar of him. Or if they don't bring those models back in some way because of some plot twist at the end of the Horus Heresy, some plot device that's put in there that make you think. I mean, it would be clever to make sure you put a plot device into the Horus Heresy, which is Sanguinius and Horus are definitely dead, but are they? They've kind of done it a little bit with Ferrus Manus. Not really, but kind of. But not really, but kind of. And having that option in there is just makes sense, right? But if they don't bring them back, and if they don't bring the Emperor back, and then there's whole massive plot devices that they can make happen around that, which unleashes lots of other things instead. And which is another example of the law now driving model range. Not entirely model. It's pull. There's a pull that didn't exist before. And it's the law and the narrative. It didn't exist. How about introducing new plot lines and characters? They are, of course, in the future. There'll be many new plot lines and many new characters introduced and many new heroes introduced, like Belisarius Cawl, who's here now, and others who will be here now. I wonder if they'll let Dan Abnett do the unification war stuff he keeps saying he wants to do. Yeah, he said that he wanted to revisit Unification Wars and also a time during the Age of Strife to go back to see. But I hear that he was told, I've heard through someone that that's not 40k anymore or 30k anymore. But it would be nice to get a peek behind the curtain. 5 minutes to go, thank you, Mikey P. Say Hi Paul started. Has he? Say Hi Paul started on his other channel, so I should shut up. So thank you everyone for joining me along. Thank you for your super chats and donations and things like that, and to the 2 members that we've had this evening. I really appreciate you coming along. Someone do the timestamp thing that we were talking about. Stop YouTube flashing up at me. That was happening there. Sorry I wasn't on yesterday. That's why. And then this week, stay tuned for more for members and things for the bell tolls. And also there's events and things if you want to come along to events, which I mentioned earlier on. If you just started now, go back, events and things. So that's what's happening. How are we all doing? We all doing? Irishman commentary is thinking about building a Black Templar army, or is there a more user-friendly army to go for? if you're thinking about getting into the hobby, never make rules decisions. That army, the one that is, if the Black Templars are calling to you, then start with Black Templars. If it's the rules calling to you, then whatever calls to you, whatever model looks the best, whatever army is the coolest, whatever thing you want to do. If you want a full assaulty army, then Black Templars is cool. But stick with that, because you're going to be spending a lot of time. You're going to be spending a lot of time with that army. Not just painting or playing, but in thought and in mind. So if you're new to the hobby, you've got to pick the one that draws to you, the light and the darkness. Brap is here, we need to go. Right, okay, so thank you everyone for coming along, and happy wargaming.